Too much on the line, too much to give in. If you think it's over, then let's start it again. The planets align, the stars burn bright, the sun goes down, we keep going on now. Don't back down, the moment is now. Don't miss out, we're never turning around. Your light is young, we're out and free. If you can, try to catch me if you can. Catch me if you can. We're renegades. We're renegades.
Hey everyone, I'm Fred Ranger and welcome back to the channel. If you aren't subscribed yet, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification because you'll know when I drop a next video that talks about either Fujifilm, Leica, creativity in general. If you are into that type of videos, please, again, subscribe and hit that bell notification. It would mean the world to me. But with that out of the way, I want to talk about the FUJIFILM X-T5. This is kind of a follow-up video to my original kind of unboxing and first thoughts around the camera. As you know, I've been shooting Fujifilm for more than 12 years now. That's way back when the X100 came out. And I've been a Fuji X-T2, X-T3, X-T4 user, then the XS series and also the XE series. And how can I forget the X Pro series with the Pro 2 and the Pro 3. But the XT has always been the workhorse, the one that you go to for a demanding job that requires, you know, both photos and videos and so on and so forth. And now with the XH line, it actually created a bit of confusion when the XH1 was there and the XT3 was there. Didn't really know which one was for what, but now they really made it very, very clear that the XH line, at least the S line, is for rapid shooting, sports, but more importantly for video shooters. I am using actually an XH2S as we speak, and the XT line, especially the X-T5, has put the emphasis on photography. And they even introduced it as, I think it was photography first when they launched this camera several weeks, a couple months ago. So, but I wanted to test it with a setup that's light because that's usually how I like to bring, you know, those cameras when I travel. And I wanted also to test it with lenses that were designed or optimized for this sensor, which is the 40 megapixel sensor that's in this camera, but also some older lenses like the 50mm f2 that I really like because it's a nice telephoto that doesn't break the bank and also is great image quality. And the f2.8, the pancake lens, which is the 27. This is now an infamous lens. I think a lot of people like this lens because of its compactness, and now the V2 is weather sealed. But again, it's not supposed to be optimized for 40 megapixel, but I can tell you it is resolving tremendously well on this sensor. So this was kind of the kit. It pretty much got the 33mm f1.4 attached to it for most of the shots, but because it is, again, the kit that I would go out with and I would recommend, but the 50 was used in a lot of situations in a little shoot I did on the side of the St. Lawrence River, right near to my house, and there are some surfers there, but rather than me talking about it, I'm gonna show you some concrete examples. Before we do that, I just want to talk about the handling of this camera. So the first thing is that I really dig the fact that they brought back the X-T3, X-T2 type of flip out screen, or flip up screen, should I say. It's not an out screen, it's an up screen, where it does actually also do it on the side like that. So when you do like those low angle shot on a portrait mode, you can still have that tilt up screen. So very useful. And when I say that this is a photography first camera, again, this is not intended for the vloggers that really like that flip out screen that, like I just mentioned. This is really photography first, and you know, when you shoot from the hip, you want to do this. You are centered with the axis of your lens, and that's something that's important because when it's on the side, it's, you know, kind of mess up with your brain, at least with mine. So I really like this, and also the grip. I want to mention that the grip is so good. They've been able to reduce the size, the overall size of this camera, bring it back to the X-T1 size, but they've been able also to bring a very interesting grip, and that one is a keeper. I will say Fujifilm, if you do another X-T line or X-T6, X-T7, keep that grip. It's great even without a battery grip, because there isn't a battery grip for that camera. That's something, it's kind of a bummer for some shooters, but there are external, of course, attachment you can put to have a little bit more grip, even if that is a pretty solid grip in and of itself. So, okay, enough of me talking. I am going to go and open Lightroom, and I'm gonna start the recording on the screen here so I can still talk to you, but also show you some of the images that I've taken with this camera. Okay, first off, little classic shot of a plane and some trees, and I took that shot because I wanted to do two things. The first one is I wanted to see the color. So this is the original color. I'm actually holding, I don't know if you know that trick in Lightroom Mobile. If you hold your screen, you'll see the original picture without any edits. And then if you let it go, you'll see your edits that are on. So the colors right off the bat from the Fujifilm X-T4 are beautiful. Are you surprised? You shouldn't be, because it's been like that since, my God, the X100 back then. They've always been some of the best color science on the market. Some people will give me hate about the word color science because they think that any RAW files or any raw files, they're all the same. I'm not from that school. I'm from the school of, you know what, if you can get it right in the camera, then when you edit, it's making it even easier to get to where you want to go. So that's the first thing. I wanted to test the colors, and as you can see, the greens are very green, the blues are very blue. You even have some details on the plane. It was so far away. This was shot with, I think it's the 50mm. Yeah, that's the 50mm f2. And I also wanted to do this because this is 47 megapixels. So now you can see that it's not the original shot. It's a massively cropped image, and I'm still retaining, if I do this, a lot of details, guys. So this is the plane, and if you can see here, you've got some clouds. So this is a heavily cropped image, and I'm still confident that I could print that image on paper, on photo paper, and I'm pretty sure I could print it on a fairly large paper. I would not be shy putting it in a 13 by 19 or even bigger than that. But for the internet, this is definitely an overkill to have 40 megapixel, but it's the ability to recompose after the fact. Again, I prefer to have it right in the camera, but having the ability to do stuff like you're seeing right now is very, very convenient. That's the first shot I wanted to show you. The second shot, well, of course, I wanted to test the animal autofocus, eye autofocus. And, it was kind of hit and miss when it first got introduced. I think they got it down to a science now. Maybe not Sony level, maybe not Canon level. But for us Fuji shooters, I think it's a massive improvement over the X-T4, X-T3, and all the older cameras. And it just, grabbed onto the eye. He was kind of moving, and so I was seeing the little box, and then I snapped the photo, and you can see again that the detail is so good. I really, really like this photo, again for the colors, but also how easy it was to take it. This is the original one, a bit overexposed, so of course I corrected it. Boom, there you go. You still have some dynamic range. Is it, ways ahead of the X-T4 in terms of dynamic range? No, I mean, I would say 1 or 2 stops that better, which is important, if you're in very low light or in very bright light. But I don't know what they've decided to go with on the marketing front, but for me, it's more than enough for what I shoot. And as you can see, I shoot in various conditions and street and travel and so on and so forth. So if you're like me, you'll appreciate that. I want to show you some other images. I mean, this is just another one where the 50mm came in handy, and that 40 megapixel also, because I was able to capture that scene. So if you are afraid about using f2 lenses on that camera, don't be, because it just, it resolved very, very beautifully. If you look at those surfers, very cool. This is another shot that I really like because, it gives kind of an idea of how it treats the color, the shades, so on and so forth. Here's the original shot. The blue, the original shot actually is pretty darn good. It's almost there. Just a little edit for my style. You might like it, you might not like it. But if you were to crop this, let's say for a vertical, you want to do 16 by 9, and then you want to do a aspect ratio, maybe not 16 by 9, but let's do a 4 by 5 for the Insta if you want to do that. and you do this, then boom, you are there. And of course, this is a bad crop, but this is just to show you how, you know, easy it is to recrop or to crop, and you know, you're not going to lose any data, or a bit, of course, of resolution, but there's plenty if you want to keep cropping. Another scene that's in it's another lit environment, differently lit because it's under the trees. There's a lot of shadows and also some bright highlights. So again, the dynamic range comes in very efficiently here, and you can see the original one a bit more on the bluish side. I think it had a film sim attached to it, which is, I think it might be classic neg, or I don't know, I don't recall. I would have to see, but this is my edit. So this is just one example of how far you can push the file. If you look at what I'm regaining in the you know, background in terms of the detail from the original file, which, you know, everything seems a bit bland. And if you look at the blacks on the mom that's throwing the axe, when I do this, then I'm recuperating some details in the actual jeans. Look at that. So I like this shot because the little girl, it's like if she was pushing the leg of her mother, and then the guy has his tongue out. But look at that. I can you know, go in and recuperate some of this detail, shadow details. So great picture in terms of resolution, not in terms of quality necessarily. This is a shot that I wanted to take because look at the sky. So this is, you know, completely blown out sky, and usually you could not do that with Fujifilm cameras. This is the original shot. Again, too cold for me. I think I messed up with the white balance, but then easily correctable. Can we say that in English? Correctable? I told you, I might invent some words. Maybe we can, maybe we cannot. But look at the sky. I was able to recuperate some of this sky. Again, you might like this style, you might not like this style, but for me, I like to add a little bit of drama in my photos. And of course, we cannot talk about film simulation without talking about Acros, right? So this is a film sim that's still there, and they've, you know, allowed us to use some new curves in there. I think it might have been in the X-T4 too, I forgot. I know it's in the XH line and also in the XT line, where you can go in and really tweak those film simulation to your liking with S curves and so on and so forth. So yeah, this is the original one, which had an Acros film sim to it, and this is, you know, the final result. And was this crop? I think it was. Yeah, there we go. So this is a little crop. So again, with this camera, you can crop for days and you don't have to worry about it. So overall, who is this camera for? Well, this camera is definitely for people who want to put photography first, and of course, be invested in the Fujifilm ecosystem. Even if you have f2 lenses, I would say, don't worry about that. If you have the old 35 1.4, I have it right there and I've shot it with it. Don't worry about that. I mean, if you are a product photographer and want the best details, you're photographing watches and so on and so forth, maybe, you know, you'll go with a 33 or the new 56 or, you know, whatever newer lens that are optimized for that sensor. I have the 18mm f1.4 that I should use on the Fujifilm X-T5 just to see the wide angle, how it reacts. But again, you don't have to have those lenses to start using the X-T5. If you want the latest and greatest technology, I mean, it has 8K video, it has all the great codecs that you might want to use in a camera for video, but I would say use this as a photography first camera that can film video if you want. You know, you're traveling, you want to grab a little sequence, that's fine, but I would treat this as a main photo camera just for the sheer fact that it has that flip up screen. It has 40 megapixel. This, you can, you know, you're covered for any type of situation. It actually responds well in low light. This is my other concern that I had with this camera, and I've shot it. I'll put a couple pictures on the screen so you can actually see how it reacts to low light. And again, it's Fujifilm, right? So even if there is grain, at the end of the day, it does look a bit filmic, and I know people are tired of hearing that word, but it's true, and Fujifilm was the first to kind of mess with the digital noise in a creative way, or not in a creative way, but in a way that actually made it look like film. And maybe it's their huge history in producing film and manufacturing film that led them to being able to do that. But at the end of the day, very, very satisfied with this overall package. So who is it for? Like I said, if you're a traveler, if you're a photographer, and you are traveling a lot, I think this is probably one of the best hybrid machine you can buy today. If you are somebody who wants to invest in a body that will, last you certainly for 2, 3, 4 years, even, maybe 5, 6 years, I think this is the response to any megapixel war and so on and so forth. I think at 40 megapixel on an APS-C sensor, I think we're done, guys. I think there's no need to go to 60, 70. Then I don't even know if it's physically possible. If you want 70 megapixel, 100 megapixel, go to a medium format camera. I know it's not the same ratio and it's not the same rendering and so on, but again, if megapixel is your game, there are other options for you, and full frame is one of them, and also the medium format is definitely there, and Fujifilm happens to make a GFX system that will give you exactly that. If you have any questions about the X-T5, please ask them down below. If you want to make sure to hit that bell notification and subscribe to this channel to know when I release another video like that, please do so. And also don't forget to listen to my podcast, the Visual Storytelling Podcast. I'm having so much fun. I interviewed recently Hunter Hart. Really like this guy, really like his work. I also interviewed Phil Penman, Dotan Sagi, and a bunch of other creative people. I'm getting so much out of it, and I'm getting so much feedback on it, and people seem to really like it. So on this channel we talk a little bit more about the gear and the gear we use to tell our stories in this day and age, but on the podcast, although we might mention some of the gear, we go deep into visual storytelling and how people became a photographer, some tips and tricks on how to invest in your art and become an artist and so on and so forth. So again, really entice you to go click on that Visual Storytelling Podcast link. And if you want to buy an X-T5, you want to encourage this channel, there's 2 links down below, one on Amazon and one on B&H, and both are free to you, but they encourage me to produce more videos like that because I get a little affiliate amount. Sometimes it's $1, 50 cents, $2, $3. It's small, but again, it keeps this channel running. I thought I'd say it because some people think I'm paid, or camera brands send me stuff. No, if a camera brand send me something, I will review it, I will test it, and I will give my honest opinion. So thank you so much for listening and for watching. If you want to know anything, like I said, ask me down below. I've been Fred Ranger. Please be happy, enjoy life, and enjoy your X-T5. Cheers.